Hello, and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center near the villages. I want to warmly welcome each one of you. Welcome home, because we believe that wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. My name is Carla Carter Knack, and I'm a licensed Unity teacher that has the pleasure of serving at Unity Spiritual Center. I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. One of those practical tools that Unity teaches us is meditation and time in the silence. So I'd like for you just to begin to relax. Let your shoulders relax. Close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. As we begin to come still, take a deep breath in and slowly and fully release it. And think, peace, be still. So in breath, peace, and out breath, be still. Allow the sounds and the environment around you to lull you to a deep place of quiet within. That place of spiritual connection with divine mind, with all that is, as you just simply relax and breathe in and out, knowing that you are safe and knowing that you are beloved. Here in this sacred space, we can immerse ourselves in the restorative flow of divine love, just as we would step into a crystal clear, cool, gently flowing woodland stream. This stream of source revitalizes us, infuses us with beauty, truth, wisdom, faith, strength, and love. And this source is everlasting, always renewing, and always available to us. Whether it is when the cares of the world is weighing on your shoulders, when we might feel a little worse for the wear, when we wish to express our overflowing gratitude, when we seek divine guidance, we remember to do exactly what Jesus did, to come apart for a while, to spend private, quiet time with God, and to listen. These current times allow us the opportunity for reflection, for discerning what is important in our lives and what is not. With inner clarity, we are able to make conscious choices to determine our next steps. In this sacred space, we can recalibrate our inner GPS, our God positioning system, as we gracefully and easily shift into alignment with God mind. When we access this restorative flow of source, our heartbeat slows down, our minds get quiet, and we're able to hear that still, small voice. We rest now in the tranquility and peace of being in the silence. As we gently emerge from the silence, our hearts are open, our minds are clear, and we see the world through our softer eyes of our higher selves. We are whole, complete, and aware, and we are so grateful. And so it is. How many of you have heard of Marie Kondo, the author of The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, the Japanese art of decluttering and organizing? Well, she encourages people to go through everything in their homes and figure out what they want to keep and what they wish not to keep. She encourages them to hold each item in their hands to see if it sparks inner joy for them. So today, we're going to kind of use the coronavirus to our benefit to help us make a conscious choice about what's important in our lives and what is not. During these strange, unique times, we can feel like we're in a perpetual holding pattern, waiting, just waiting for things to turn to some kind of normal, waiting for the virus to go away or at least be effectively treated, waiting until we reach some subjective threshold that allows us to feel safe again. Human beings are meaning-making, habit-forming machines. Most of us, even now, have self-adapted to a new normal, albeit way different than our previous one. Well, one of the positive byproducts of these times is that we all have an opportunity, like it or not, to get to know ourselves on a deeper level. For many of us, life has slowed down. How many of you have read more books in the last 6 months than you did in the previous year? How many of you have binge watched on Netflix? How many of you are a little tired of cooking yet another homemade meal? You know it's serious when grocery stores run out of yeast because so many of us have returned to baking our own bread. Well, I've been preparing for Denny Ralston's class, The 5 Invitations. And when the author wrote, "In the light of dying, it's easy to distinguish between the tendencies that lead us toward wholeness and those that incline us toward separation and suffering." And when I read that, I had a flash of understanding that these times, which we are temporarily in, provide the perfect opportunity for us to take a look at our lives and make some important choices with our power of discernment or judgment. A time to take an open-hearted, honest look at our lives and decide what we wish to keep and which nurtures us and what we need to throw out with the trash. To make a conscious choice that supports us in the life that we are co-creating with Divine Mind or God. So that when we emerge from the time of the virus, and we will have given some thought about what we want our lives to look at. And frankly, there's no time like the present. While digging through my internal stuff, determining what brings me joy and doesn't, several things came to light. And I'd like to share some of my personal insights with you. For sure, for me, treasure is that 7 a.m. weekday meditation group on Zoom through our church. I'm telling you, it has really been supportive during this time. And it's a powerful experience to meditate with other people. It's just great. And it helps me to calibrate that internal GPS. It's like I've tuned into the positive station for the day and everything just flows that much smoother. And I'll tell you what I'm going to throw in the trash. Pete is my husband. We've learned that watching TV is a 3D experience for us, not the good kind, discouraging, divisive, and depressing. So we have found that for us, and we're only speaking for us, it really is helpful if we peruse the headlines via a reliable source on the internet or scanning the headlines in our local newspaper, and then we can decide what we want to delve into further. So it's not as a depleting experience. Another treasure for me is I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. So I really like this better personal hygiene thing where we're all washing our hands more frequently. And when this is over, I'm likely going to continue to do that. I'm also not afraid anymore or not intimidated. If it's flu season and it's rampant, I'm probably going to wear a face mask into the grocery store, and people will look at me like I'm a Martian then. So I think that's the good news. And also the good news is I won't have to be quite as obsessive about it as I currently am. Do you know the first thing I can't wait to trash? I've picked up this roommate in my head, a lookout who's in a constant state of hyper awareness. And that roommate says to me, "Why didn't that person have on a mask?" Oh no, is that woman 6 feet away from me? Does that man who just coughed have COVID? Uh-oh, the swimming pool's getting too crowded. I'm out of here. See, during this time, when we have to be careful, that lookout has been a helpful thing for me. But it's really nagging, and I'm going to evict that roommate as soon as it's possible. There are positives that have occurred as a result of experiencing these times, and I'm thankful for them and thankful for innovative solutions that others have come up with. Things like watching less TV and reading more books. Did you know the local library has an online reservation system? So I go online and I pick out the book I'm asking for them to hold, and then they require masks to be worn. I go in, I go to a special section, I pick up that book that they've held for me, and I check out all by myself on their online checkout system, which is touchless. So I'm really grateful for that. I've also fallen in love with pickup grocery service. It kind of forces me to figure out what I'm going to plan to eat that week. And then when we go pick it up, we don't even have to get out of the car. How easy is that? And I have to say, connecting with long distance family through Zoom has been such an emotional boost during these times. We have family spread from Ontario, Canada, Kentucky, down a little bit south of here in Winter Haven, Florida. So we're very thankful for that technology, especially for celebrating birthdays. We each bring our own little piece of cake or some kind of treat, and we toast the birthday boy or girl while we sing. And it's uplifting for all of us. I'm really thankful for restaurant curbside service. When I don't feel like cooking one more homemade meal, it's nice to have that occasional choice to be able to do. I'm sure that you've thought of more positives, your own positives that you've experienced during this time. And I just encourage you to think about it and have gratitude. It's uplifting to do that. Well, with 6 going into 7 months of uncertainty, with so many changes and stressors, it's certainly served to show us what matters to us and what doesn't. And full disclosure here, most days I deal pretty good with what is, with the way our world currently is. But some days I want to have a kicking, screaming tantrum, and some days I have to cry a few tears. And I think it's important that we honor those feelings in ourselves, that we let them move on through us. And I would encourage you to ask yourself the question, what have you missed the most? What's first on your list of priorities once we return to some kind of sense of normalcy? Is it sharing hugs again? I read this month's AARP magazine, and Carol Burnett said the first thing she's going to do is have a hugging party. I thought that sounded pretty good. Is it getting together with family and friends and not being worried about being close to them? How wonderful to be able to do that without fear. Is there something you've been wanting to do in your life that requires a leap of faith to do that? Something you've been wanting to do or try? Well, that's going to be the perfect time to do that. Is it taking a vacation that you've been postponing? I can't wait to get back to the beach. Well, after we go through something significant or traumatic, it's been my personal experience that one of the gifts I receive is similar to a pair of special 3D glasses, where things that really matter stand out in stark relief, and what doesn't fades into the background. I'm going to show my age here, which I don't mind, but do you remember those 2D pictures you would take a look at in the 70s or 80s, and you would gaze at them for a while, and when your eyes finally started to blur a little bit, that hidden picture would stand out in stark relief, and you could see what had previously been hidden? Well, that's what these temporary glasses are like. And you know what? When I was preparing for this talk today, I realized that every single time I'd gone through a really meaningful experience or trauma in my life, it was a catalyst for a major change every single time. That was a surprise for me. And also, some life events that appear as trash to begin with can turn out to be the most transformative experiences you've ever had. When you get to that other side, there's treasure that awaits. 11 years ago, when my then 8-year-old grandson came within seconds of being murdered by his mother's then boyfriend, it was the most difficult time of my life. This horrific situation continued for some time. Talk about feeling helpless. It was also a time of tremendous spiritual growth. I experienced the truth on a profound level one day. I was trying to meditate and I was a complete mess. I was crying. I was desperate for a solution and frustrated that this situation had been allowed to continue. But when I was finally able to get still, I heard God's voice, clear as a bell, say to me, there was one path leading into this dark place, but there are multiple paths leading out of it into the light. And 3 days later, from multiple sources, there was sweet, blessed relief. In the years following, some astounding things happened that I might not as a human have expected or anticipated it could turn out so well. His mom was able to turn her life around. Forgiveness changed every single one of our lives. We're now friends. And guess what? This year, my grandson graduated from high school. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. 6 years ago, when my baby brother, Chris, died at age 48, he left behind a legacy of don't wait, do it now. Our father's early death had had a tremendous effect on Chris. And instead of saving more for retirement, which is what his wife would probably have appreciated more, he took his family on Caribbean vacations when the girls had spring break. And they spent weekends taking his 2 girls, Claire and Caroline, out on a nearby lake on their boat, and they would invite all their friends, and they had a ball. Well, you can imagine how precious those memories are to them now. So he really taught me a lot. And it makes me want to live more fearlessly now. Chris's death actually served as a catalyst for me to become a licensed Unity teacher. And I find it ironic at this point in my life that in my early years, most of my life, I would make safe decisions, conservative choices, more fearful choices in living. But now I realize it's more important to live courageously while I have the time to be who I came here to be and to do what Spirit asks me to do. While I have this tour of Earth, that is important to me. And please don't misunderstand me. I believe that life after death will be a grand adventure. I just want to be fully present and living my purpose while I'm here. It's really important to make these kinds of considerations while the contrast is clear. Contrast provides clarity. 1 Thessalonians 5:21 says, test everything, hold fast to what is good. And I encourage each of us to do that. And to do that, we really need to figure out what good means to us personally. So using the clarity gained from our experience during these unique times, it's just a golden opportunity to make conscious choices going forward. That's the thing about difficult or challenging times. There's a gift in the process of navigating them. It's important to lean into our discomfort and to process our feelings. And you know, we have classes that help us do that. Classes like the upcoming Q process or the class Loving What Is. And there's more. And they're so valuable. It's such a great support to us. By engaging our power of wisdom, we can discern what is working in our lives, that which supports and sustains us, and that which isn't working in our lives, that which depletes or diminishes us. Sometimes when it feels like I'm rowing against the current of life, I can just hear Dr. Phil in my head saying, so how's that working for you? There is one caveat in this whole thing. Only you can decide what to keep as treasure and what to release as trash. Only you. And you know what? You are enough. You have what it takes. So I thank you for allowing me to share with you today. And I truly encourage each of you on your own unique spiritual path. Blessings to you. Namaste.